In the dry heat of the North African desert, where distance distorted sound and mirages bent the horizon, the name of Erwin Rommel carried a particular weight among Allied headquarters. For George S. Patton, war was never abstract. It was personal, immediate, and measured in the behavior of an enemy under pressure. Before Patton ever faced German armor in Africa, he studied Rommel not as a legend but as a problem that demanded respect. In staff briefings and private moments alike, Patton spoke of Rommel with an intensity reserved for adversaries who could not be dismissed. This was not admiration, nor was it fear in the common sense, but a recognition sharpened by Patton's understanding of how quickly a single commander could turn momentum on a battlefield. Patton's awareness of Rommel began well before American troops landed in North Africa in late 1942. Reports from British officers who had fought the Afrika Korps since 1941 painted a consistent picture: Rommel was aggressive, unorthodox, and dangerously intuitive. He attacked when doctrine advised caution and withdrew when others would have pressed on. Patton read these accounts closely. He studied Rommel's campaigns in France and the desert, noting the speed of his advances, the risks he accepted, and the way he used limited resources to create the illusion of strength. To Patton, who believed that willpower and audacity often outweighed numbers, Rommel represented a commander who fought war the same way he himself intended to fight it. When American forces entered the Tunisian campaign, Patton was not yet in command of frontline troops. From the sidelines, he watched as inexperienced U.S. units encountered the Germans for the first time. The shock at Kasserine Pass in February 1943 confirmed many of his concerns. German armored units, led by officers trained under Rommel's influence and doctrine, exploited American inexperience with ruthless efficiency. Patton did not blame the soldiers. He blamed the failure to understand the enemy. In his view, Rommel's methods had not been taken seriously enough. The defeat reinforced Patton's belief that Rommel was not merely a skilled tactician but a commander whose presence reshaped the entire battlefield. Patton's fear of Rommel was rooted in a shared understanding of offensive warfare. Both men believed that hesitation invited defeat. Both valued speed, surprise, and relentless pressure. Patton recognized in Rommel a mirror image stripped of restraint by circumstances. Rommel operated at the end of a fragile supply line, under constant Allied air attack, yet continued to strike with precision and boldness. Patton understood what that required: an ability to read terrain instinctively, to sense when an enemy was wavering, and to exploit weakness without waiting for permission. These qualities made Rommel unpredictable, and unpredictability was what Patton feared most in an opponent. When Patton assumed command of the U.S. II Corps after Kasserine, his first concern was Rommel. He imposed strict discipline, enforced uniform standards, and demanded constant readiness not for appearance's sake, but because he believed Rommel would exploit any lapse. Patton ordered his officers to study German tactics, to anticipate feints and sudden thrusts, and to assume that any quiet sector could erupt without warning. In his orders, Rommel was not mentioned as a mythic figure, but as a commander whose influence permeated every German movement in Tunisia. Patton prepared his men not to face an army, but a mind. The engagements that followed revealed the depth of Patton's concern. At El Guettar in March 1943, American forces faced a determined German counterattack involving elements of the 10th Panzer Division. Though Rommel was no longer directly commanding in the sector, the tactics bore his imprint: concentrated armor thrusts, probing attacks, and attempts to draw defenders out of position. Patton personally observed the battle, watching how German tanks advanced and how American artillery responded. When the attack was repulsed, Patton did not celebrate. He noted how close the Germans had come to breaking through and how skillfully they had coordinated their assault. In his assessment, this was the kind of fighting Rommel had perfected. Patton's fear was also shaped by what Rommel represented strategically. Rommel thrived in fluid situations where front lines were uncertain and command structures strained. North Africa, with its vast open spaces and logistical challenges, was precisely the kind of environment that allowed Rommel to excel. Patton knew that if Rommel were given freedom of movement, he could turn even a minor engagement into a crisis. This understanding drove Patton's insistence on constant pressure. He believed that Rommel, like himself, was most dangerous when allowed time to think and maneuver. To deny him that space was essential. There were moments when Patton's private writings revealed the intensity of his focus on Rommel. He referred to him as a dangerous opponent whose skill demanded absolute attention. Patton did not indulge in the language of fear, but his words carried an unmistakable edge. He acknowledged Rommel's ability to inspire his troops and to impose his will despite adversity. Patton respected this because he sought the same effect among his own men. Yet he also understood that such commanders were rare, and that defeating one required not just strength, but a matching ferocity of intent. As the Tunisian campaign progressed and Rommel's health declined, Patton sensed a shift. German operations became more cautious, less fluid. Intelligence reports suggested changes in command and growing strain within Axis leadership. Patton did not underestimate these changes, but he noted the absence of Rommel's distinctive aggressiveness. The battles continued, hard and costly, but the sense of facing a single, dominating adversary began to fade. For Patton, this was not relief but confirmation of his earlier judgment. Rommel's presence had mattered profoundly, and his absence altered the character of the fight. Patton's fear of Rommel never translated into hesitation. Instead, it sharpened his resolve. He drove his troops relentlessly, insisting that only through constant aggression could they deny an enemy like Rommel the initiative he craved. Patton believed that war was a contest of wills, and that Rommel excelled at imposing his own. To counter that, Patton sought to overwhelm the battlefield with his own energy, speed, and decisiveness. In this way, Rommel shaped Patton's approach even without direct confrontation. By the time the North African campaign drew to a close, Patton's assessment of Rommel had crystallized. He saw him as a commander who embodied the danger of underestimating an enemy's capacity for adaptation and audacity. Patton did not fear Rommel as a symbol or legend, but as a real, tangible force whose decisions could cost lives and alter campaigns. This fear was professional, disciplined, and grounded in experience. It was the fear of a soldier who understood that the most dangerous enemy was one who thought as he did, who moved with the same urgency, and who believed, above all, in the power of the offensive to decide the fate of armies. Thanks for watching this breakdown of World War II history. If you learned something new today, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for your regular dose of historical facts. Don't forget to check out our playlist for more videos like this one.